In a world where turbochargers have infested everything from family SUVs to eco boxes, there stands one engine that defied the downsizing trend. That engine is the BMW S65, a high-revving, naturally aspirated 4-liter V8 masterpiece that lived fast, died young, and left a glorious soundtrack in its wake. Now, the S65 wasn't just an engine, it was a declaration of war against mediocrity. Born from BMW's F1-derived S85 V10, a lunatic of an engine that screamed its way to 8,250 RPM, the S65 was essentially the V10's slightly saner V8 cousin. It was developed for one purpose: to power the E92 M3, a car that arguably represents the peak of BMW M division before it succumbed to turbochargers, electronic trickery, and excessive weight. Now, when talking about the S65, most people think that it's just an S85 with 2 less cylinders. But no, they reworked everything. The S65 boasted a lightweight aluminium silicone crankcase, individual throttle bodies for razor-sharp response, and a flat-plane-like crankshaft design that allowed it to rev to 8,400 RPM. In a world where most V8s preferred to loiter around 6,000 RPM before giving up, the S65's sheer enthusiasm for revs was nothing short of intoxicating. And despite its relatively modest displacement of just 4 liters, the S65 punched well above its weight. In the standard E92 M3, it produced 414 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. Now, in the world of modern turbocharged engines and electrics, these numbers might seem almost pedestrian, but back in the late 2000s, this was serious business. More importantly, the way the S65 delivered that power, smoothly, progressively, and with an addictive sound, made it feel far more special than its turbocharged successors. But that didn't stop with the base E92 M3. Then came the magnum opus, the M3 GTS. This track-focused lunatic received a stroked-out 4.4-liter version of the S65, pumping the power to 444 horsepower and making an even angrier noise. This was BMW's way of saying, "We're going out with a bang," and what a bang it was. So that brings me to the question, why was this engine so special? Well, there are plenty of V8s in the world, but few, if any, feel as alive as the S65. First, there's the sound. While most modern turbocharged engines mumble their way through the rev range, the S65 sings. It starts with a deep mechanical growl before climbing into a feral scream that wouldn't sound out of place on a racetrack. Then there's the response. Because the S65 was naturally aspirated and had individual throttle bodies, it reacted to throttle inputs with the immediacy of a caffeinated house cat. No lag, no waiting, just instantaneous power delivery. And let's not forget the weight. The S65 was actually lighter than the E96 it replaced in the E46 M3, making the E92 surprisingly nimble despite its increase in size. Then there's the driving experience. The E92 M3 was not just a car, it was a machine that begged to be driven hard. The S65's character transformed the M3 from a fast coupe into something that felt like a road-legal race car. Its power delivery was linear, building power as the revs climbed rather than dumping it all at once. This made it exceptionally rewarding to push to the limit. Pair that with BMW's now iconic hydraulic steering, a balanced chassis, and a limited slip differential, and you had a car that could dance through corners with precision. You weren't just along for the ride, you were an integral part of the experience. And this is a feeling that modern heavily assisted cars struggle to replicate. But of course, there were a few downsides. For one, fuel consumption. The S65 had a drinking habit. Owners quickly learned that keeping their foot down meant single-digit MPG figures. But let's be honest, if fuel economy is your concern, you were never meant to own an M3 in the first place. Secondly, these motors were known to eat their own bearings, meaning that changing them as preventative maintenance would become a must. But other than that, these engines were just amazing. But unfortunately, all good things must come to an end, and the S65 was no exception. As emission regulations tightened and the industry moved towards turbo efficiency, BMW made the inevitable decision to replace the S65 with the twin turbocharged S55 inline-six engine in the F80 M3. While faster and more tunable, the S55 lacked the soul of the S65. It was brutally effective, but emotionally a bit distant. BMW fans were understandably distraught. The S65 was the last naturally aspirated engine ever fitted to an M3, and it marked the end of an era where BMW prioritized excitement over efficiency and raw horsepower figures. But despite its relatively short production run, the S65 has cemented itself as a future classic. The E92 M3 prices are already climbing, especially for well-maintained manual transmission examples. Those who have driven one know why. It's an experience that modern M-cars simply can't replicate. The S65 was BMW at its best. Unapologetically high-revving, gloriously loud, and deeply rewarding to drive. It may not have had the brute force torque of modern turbocharged V8s, but it didn't need to. It was an engine that begged you to chase the red line, to savor every upshift, and to revel in the purity of a naturally aspirated masterpiece. But to end this video off, if you are lucky enough to own an S65 powered BMW, cherish it, maintain it, give it the best oil money can buy, and never let it sit in the garage collecting dust. This engine was made to be driven, to be experienced, and to make every drive feel special. But at the end of this video, please let me know what you guys think of this engine built by BMW. Do you think the E46's engine is better? Do you like this V8? Or do you like the more modern turbocharged engines more? Now don't get me wrong, I do love the S55. That thing can make stupid power. With just the tuned bolt-ons, that thing will be stupidly fast. But you don't get that feeling of wanting to chase the car to redline, to rev it out in every gear. It's different. I don't know if I'm even making sense here. But with a turbocharged car, you can have that fun without even going to redline. The torque will push you in the seat and it just feels fast. And yeah, where with these types of motors, you actually have to push it all the way to redline, shift the gears, and if you shift too quickly, you're going to fall out of the power band, and it's a bit more work, but it's got character, and you have to drive it a certain way, and it's just special. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. If you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and if you guys did like it, you'll most probably like most of my other stuff. So just go through my channel, see if there's something else to like. I'll check you guys in the next one. Cheers, eh?